What's going on, guys? So, it's actually late. It's like 7 o'clock. Sun's about to go down. Working late. Stupid day job. But what I have to do is push this thing outside. I want to degrease basically the chassis and all that sort of stuff. Actually, the rest of it came out pretty clean when I did the rest of the pressure washing. But push it back, degrease it, paint what I want to paint or whatever, fix a little bit of rust holes, which is kind of boring. But I can do that tomorrow or maybe later today. Well, I'm not too sure. And I also bought some header paint, so I'm going to clean those things, hang those to dry. I really should jam and work late and get the firewall done. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But then that'll all go, let the paint dry, plug the motor in, and just be that easy, right? That's the plan. Alright, well, I'm going to push this thing outside. It's heavy. And I can start degreasing some more. Okay, so it got dark, so I didn't really do any filming, but came out pretty good. The cross member was super oily, but when I got all the junk off, it actually cleaned up pretty nice. So it's kind of too dark to do a whole lot else. I think I'm just going to take off like washer fluid, a few little like the evap things or whatever, pull the battery, pull the overflow, just kind of flop the wires over when I paint it. And it actually looks like that hole in the firewall doesn't actually go into the cab, it goes into the drains. I must have just had some junk in there. But, so I'll just weld a patch over it. Quick coat of filler, schmoo it and be done with it. I think I'll do it tonight. We'll see. I'm gonna let it soak just a little bit more. The other thing though, so I pulled this motor out, and well, maybe I should have done this earlier, but the number on it is 140-10207, and I did a quick little Google search, and apparently that is a 350 Chevy. So I don't know, I'll pull the head off and see. I mean, hopefully it's just got a burnt valve or something like that. It would be a good motor to keep around at the very least, because small log Chevys are hard to find. Hopefully there's not like a hole in the piston or something like that. Whatever, I don't regret it, because what I want a big block, let's be honest. But off this motor, I'm going to pull the motor mounts. The motor mounts on the side, because I think they're going to be the same. I'm going to pull the pulley, because I'm just kind of cleaning this up. So the fan, the bell housing thing, again, it's kind of cleaning up. And I'll do the water pump fan, pulley, crank, pressure wash that. And I mean a few little odds and ends here and there. It had some kind of strut bar things, but those can all go on after the fact. Yeah, so I'm going to try and get a bunch of stuff painted tonight. It's cold, it's right about freezing, so I want to get it all cleaned up, and then when I go in, I'll give it a quick coat of paint before it gets too crazy. And then that can all dry. Hopefully, like I said, I'll get the firewall welded up, schmuck that, paint that, and then tomorrow we can actually put this motor in, which would be good. Put the other one on the stand, get it all cleaned up. So I thought I was going to have less motors in here, but I have the same amount. But I'll have a big block Chevy half ton. So I'm going to keep on pressure washing away and taking some parts off. I don't know, bring you guys back when I pull this truck halfway in or something like that. I hope. Hopefully this little winch will have enough jam to pull a full-size truck in. No motor, so shouldn't be that bad. Alright, let's give it a few hours. I didn't do much filming, so I was doing a bunch of boring stuff. I mean, I welded up the firewall. I just kind of welded it, schmucked it with some seam sealer. I painted it all flat black. I started getting into the fender wells and stuff, but it's still a little bit wet. I've been crawling in and out of there, and it's cold, so the paint's not really setting up so great. So I think what I'm going to do, I got to work tomorrow, but before I go to work first thing in the morning, I'll leave the heat on in the garage, I'll blast it all with paint, and then let it dry for a few hours. I gave the headers coat, so they're, well, actually 2 or 3 coats, but they're pretty good. Usually what I do after is they've set up, I run the torch on just to kind of get them baked a little bit. And then you just like start the motor off and shut it off and do a few things like that. And since I'm not breaking the cam in on this thing, that actually will work out no problem. So I gotta make a list, like tomorrow I gotta get oil filter, a few things like that. I don't know, I mean I gotta figure out the exhaust. There's a lot of screwing around yet to do, but ultimately paint everything flat black. I pull the wires out, you know, as much as I can, do a little bit of that. What I'm gonna do, I kind of did a little bit of, didn't do any masking, but I just painted the inside flat black, and I'll go right up to this lip or whatever, flat black. So everything under the hood will be flat black, and then color on the outside. The frame looks kind of gungy because it is. I'm painting right over the rust, but at least it's clean. So once that kind of dries, you know, fog it all. I might need another can or two of the old trim clad professional, meant for professionals, and I gotta get the front and whatnot. But you know, it's still shiny right now, so it's kind of got a little bit of a look to it. Once it flattens out and it gets dirty, you'll never notice it, and it'll look 1,000 times better. Plus, once you have a 454 sitting in there and a radiator and all that stuff, it'll look just cherry. This stuff actually dried, so well, it's still kind of damp. I might give that a quick fog as well. It's just, again, being at whatever, it's a few degrees above freezing, nothing's drying. So I gotta push everything away, jam the truck in, close the door, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. What's going on, guys? It is the next day. The weather's actually pretty nice. Just got home from work. I pushed the truck back, so it's halfway out. I was up early this morning, like I said, and I kind of masked everything off and I painted everything black. So again, it's not, you know, factory and all that. It does look better when the color rolls over, but what are you gonna do? I think this looks 1,000 times better. The firewall flattened out and all that, it looks just fine. The chassis and all that, I mean, again, it's far from perfect, but it's all one color. It looks decent. I'm happy with it. The headers, I was just screwing around with those. I had the torch out. That ceramic high temperature paint, it's supposed to kind of, still hot, you're supposed to kind of bake it on. It's either put it in an oven, which I wasn't going to do, or you put it on the car and you run it a few times, kind of increasing the temperature, which I probably will do on this truck. But for I got a bit of a mark there, I always just kind of put the torch in all the pipes and on the end and just kind of heat it all up and give it a few minutes just to kind of get the first step done on your own terms. So now what else? Oh, the accessories, I painted them black. Those are pretty ugly, but whatever. I gotta take these headers off, put the motor mounts on, put the front dress on, get it off on the crane, put the ring gear on. Kind of think that's it. Then really it should be able to be plugged in the motor or in the engine bay. Fuel pump, few little things like that, but that might all go on after. I'm hoping the front dress for this small block will work on the big block. I'm not too sure. I don't know how much big block stuff I have. I know I have a bunch, but the power steering will be the only issue. And this thing has that serpentine belt drive. I might have to get creative and change something like that. Oh yeah, because the power steering's just a V-belt, so I can make something work. I'm not too worried about it, but I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning up, and then we'll probably just get the motor on the crane, and we'll try and get it in there, because that's always the pain. I'm fighting out what I should do with the headers. I think I might put them in, at least the drive shaft side. The small block ones came out like nothing, so it's really no big deal. And the transmission's just being held up with a ratchet strap, so I'll have to get a floor jack under there when I want to get it actually bolted together. But yeah, I don't know, I'm stoked with the way it turned out. What do you guys think? Alright, so I got the motor hanging on the crane, ring gear is on, gotta make sure you Loctite everything. I got the motor mounts on. The little the bar that would connect, I think it was to the transmission or whatever, it had a little plate, and it ended up hitting this piece right here on the motor, so I didn't put that on. So I'll have to rearrange those, maybe weld a tab on or something, because I do think it's probably important to have. I don't know, let me know if you guys know the big blocks, if they had those things or not. What else do I got going on? Actually, one of you guys sent me a like a leveler, but because I'm just going to go straight up, straight down, I'm not going to use it, so it's good I just kind of got it straight. I think that's all I've done. Paint the radiator, few little things like that. But in theory, I'll lift this up, we'll suck the truck ahead. I got the winch set up. Well, I got it over there, just got to hook it up. I'll pull it up, drop her down, and it should just plunk right on those motor mounts. I'm hopeful anyways. I gotta kind of spew all the wiring off real quick. And then, yeah, motor will be in. The only thing that's a pain, I couldn't put the pulley on. I bought bolts, which are what were recommended, but this aftermarket balancer, it's not threaded right to the end, so that's where the threads start. So I gotta go buy longer fine thread bolts because I don't have those in stock. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna have to figure out oil pressure and a few little things like that. That's why I'll make sure I get it in. So I only want to run to the parts store one time if I can. Mind you, I just said that, so I'll go 6. But yeah, put you up on tripod. Wish me luck. Okay, well, you saw me struggle a little bit. This old big block was tight in there, which is surprising, as it looks like it's got lots of room. But anyways, I got it all in. The transmission is, I think it's on the dowel on that side, not on the other. I'm gonna have to re-rig the motor to pull the back of the motor up just a little, and then use the floor jack to kind of bring the transmission up and just kind of shake them around until the two dowels fit. And then plug the bolts in, but the motor mounts are in, so that's good. I did have to use just that ratchet strap just to give it a little bit more angle, which was a bit of a pain. I was hoping that wouldn't be the case. But otherwise, motor mounts and all that's nice. So everything in theory, as long as the big block stuff will fit on, it should be able to use the shroud and everything. The old fan. Unless you guys know that's not going to happen, and I'll find out shortly. Alright guys, Nurse stopped by, and actually huge help. This was what I was worried about, was this header around the front end and everything. It was tight. I had to rock the motor up and all up. Now it's in, it's good. It's just kind of quickly bolted in. There's no gasket, there's no nothing. I don't know if I'll be getting the starter in. Hopefully I will with the header still up. But that was the panic situation. This won't be too bad. I think it shouldn't be bad at all, actually. And I think I should be able to use most of the existing exhaust. So that's awesome. Motor is bolted to the transmission. The torque converter is not to the flag or ring gear yet. I went and got a few parts. I got new heater hose. I got some grommets, the valve covers for PCV and stuff. I got a new water neck. It's like I have a bunch of different sensors in it. So I can get all that done. Slam the radiator in. I do have a bunch. I got a. This thing looks like a pretty new-ish starter on it. The fuel pump. Some of the wiring and whatnot, but realistically, unfortunately, I got a lot of work to do under the car, which is pretty boring for you guys. So I think I'm just going to kind of jam on that a little bit, get her done. Then I can kind of roll it over, find top dead center. I got new spark plugs for it, I got new spark plug wires. I got a distributor for it. I think, well, one that was in it, I'm sure will probably be fine. Do all that, hook up the fuel lines, tighten up a bunch of bolts, radiator in, radiator hoses on. You know, kind of easy stuff. My only worry is, and I don't know how it's going to go, is if I can, like I said, get those brackets and stuff on. I'm really hoping that's going to work out. Worst case, I can at least make it, whatever. Deal with that later, but it's coming together. Again, the day got away from me. Tomorrow, we're booked up tomorrow, so I don't know how much I'll get done tomorrow. I was really hoping to get this thing kind of done, running and driving, get the hood back on in just a day and a half. But it's just not going to happen. So that's kind of where we're going. I'm gonna get this wiring done, and I'll bring you back when I think we're gonna be most of the way together, unless I see something that's kind of exciting to watch. Alright, it's not gonna look like much progress, but I got a lot done. This header was an actual nightmare. It was on and off about 18 times, but it's on, it's good. I got the other header bolted up, starter is in, the torque converter's bolted up, I got all the new lines run, radiator in, balancer on, shrouds half in. Underneath, I pulled the front drive shaft, the front U-joint. One cap had no needle rollers or bearings or whatever in it, so that was wore out. All I got left really to do here, I got to tighten up the motor mount bolts, slap on the fuel pump, run that line up. All the little caps are on, like just All those little things that take forever and ever and ever. Then I just gotta spew the wiring over, put on the front dress. I think that'll probably wait till tomorrow, unless I decide to go harder later on after we get back. But that's it for now. Next time you see this thing, tomorrow's actually only a half day for me. We're running around again tomorrow. But I'd like to hear this thing fire up, at least make a little bit of noise. Then I gotta screw on with the exhaust, because the headers obviously end up at a different spot. It never ends, it never ends. Yeah, that's where I'm leaving for now. I think it's wicked in there. What's going on, guys? So it's actually been a couple days. I worked a little bit yesterday, got kind of frustrated, and then I'm working a little bit today as well. But so where we're at, starting to get all the kind of stuff back in, tanks back in, all the wiring's hooked up, starters in, ground straps are on, around the fuel line. The big hang up I had was all the brackets for the alternator and all that sort of stuff. So we're using small block pulleys and all that. The small block alternator setup, which I kind of made work. So I have that all together, and then with the power steering in, again, I'm making my own brackets for these things. It's not going great. The alternator I got happening, so using the big bulky piece, I ended up, I had a Dodge one actually. So I repaint. I had to cut it, make it bigger, but it'll work. So I'll be able to at least have the serpentine belt, which will do alternator, water pump, and crank. Power steering I'm still fighting out. I'd like to find the proper bracket, but for now, whatever, I can kind of just hang that off to the side and I won't have power steering while I start it. The wiring I think is all run. I got the little bump box. I'm going to bump this thing over, top dead center, stab a distributor in, and then it should be able to make a little bit of noise. There's no exhaust on it yet, and I still got to hook up oil pressure so it doesn't yak oil everywhere, and fill it with coolant, do an oil change, all those little things. But I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do tonight. Get that kind of finished up, have it make a little bit of noise, and then yeah, we'll start in the exhaust in the next video or something like that, but at least make sure it goes. It's actually been a bit more of a pain than I thought it was going to be, just putting a big block in, but that's life. We hit a roadblock. It's about 11 o'clock at night, and it's not getting any fuel to the carburetor. And well, obviously, this is the fuel pump and all that off the other thing, so it should be working. So I'm thinking this thing, the gauge was reading dead empty, so I'm thinking it's probably out of gas. I cranked it over, it's like bone dry. Unfortunately, this is my hot reel setup there for the alternator, so that'll be fine. I got the distributor in, the wires are all on, oil's changed. I mean, yeah, everything should be good. I had Danny come on here, as you can tell by the floor being covered in ATF, there was a line that was disconnected. So I got a couple vacuum lines I got to deal with. I got to mess with the throttle linkage type thing, because it's not quite enough, so I got to pull extension in or something like that. Just all those little nitpicky things. But the exhaust isn't hooked up either, so if I did get it fired up, 11 o'clock at night, open headers on a big block. I'm already on thin ice with the neighbors as it is. So I'm going to put the charger on it, leave it like that, and then get gas after work tomorrow. And hopefully if there's anything else I can remember. But should make a little bit of noise tomorrow. That's the plan anyways. We'll get that going, finish that off, finish the video, and start working on exhaust. Maybe take this thing for a little drive around the block, do those kind of fun things. Assuming the motor's not junk still, which it should be just fine, but you know, things go just sitting. See you guys tomorrow. What's going on, guys? So it's next day. Had the battery and charger, get the booster pack out. I just got this full of gas. I'm going to prime the carburetor. I've actually already cranked it over with the distributor unplugged, and I got some oil pressure, but I didn't get any fuel to my fuel filter, which is a problem. And I used the same fuel pump and all that off of that motor, so I know it did work. I put a half jerry can in the tank in case it was empty. I've got all the vacuum lines kind of hooked up. I know it's wrong, but I need a fitting off the intake that I can run the transmission off of. So right now they're both gonna run off the carburetor, which isn't perfect, but for what we're doing, it'll be fine. On this side, I had to make a little bracket for the throttle, because the one I had was for the small blocks. It was in the wrong spot. They didn't have enough throw. I put some boots on the spark plug wires. Wire Cure sent those over, so I had them on the shelf and put them on. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to prime the carburetor up with some fuel, hook the booster up and stuff. It should have power, but you never know. And make sure everything's out of the way. Crank the key, and I assume it's going to be perfect, or not. But if it doesn't run, we'll figure that out. If it does run, then I guess we got to see. Hopefully a fuel pump. I'm really hoping it just, you know, it wasn't cranking fast enough to get any fuel up there or something like that. So having it run, maybe that'll work. And yeah, we'll go from there. Maybe put some exhaust on, or fix the fuel pump, or fix the ignition when it's not running. All right, battery's hooked up. I am optimistic. Let's give her a few squirts of fuel. Let's see what happens here. This thing's got a anti-theft thing on it. All right. Stupid thing. Oh. Whoa. Throttle stuck. That's embarrassing. Huh. It's stuck wide open there, but there's nothing in the way. We'll see what happens here. It was definitely gonna go, that's for sure. Okay, well, it runs. It's loud. And it's not picking up fuel. So that's the problem. All right, well, we know it runs. It's got oil pressure. I mean, I didn't even put a time limit on this thing. A little static timing, that's key. So I think I started with about 10 degrees in it, which is kind of what I like to put in these things initial. Got to figure out that throttle situation. Obviously, the reverse spring is not enough. I'll put something in the front maybe, or I don't know what, or a bigger spring. But more importantly, I got to screw around with this fuel pump, which is a hassle. I think I got a few spares. What I liked about this one though, it had an inlet, an outlet, like a return, and then an outlet to the carburetor. I like running those ones with the return, but we'll switch that up real quick, see if we can get it figured out. Put a bigger spring on this, or figure out why it's hanging up, because that's deadly, literally. Otherwise, ran pretty good. Let's screw on the fuel pump, see if I can get that going. Bring you guys back. Alright, well, I've been screwing around with this thing for a while. Fuel pumps, no bueno. I don't have another one. I'll have to order one or whatever. I did get the throttle spring going, so the linkage is good. All I did was I hooked up this little electric pump to the Muro start. I just hooked it right up to the battery, so we'll see. Will she run? Stay running. Oh, that starter. It's obviously throttle sticks for some reason. Oh, maybe it's all these. Huh. I'll mess with that. I don't want to run it too long because of the get the headers going. Also, it's loud and it's nighttime, so I'm kind of pissed off a few of the neighbors. But there we go. it runs. Big block swap, complete-ish. All I have left, well, obviously I gotta do the fuel system. I got a leak there too. Now figure out the fuel system, see what I want to do with that. It needs an exhaust. I'm gonna cobble together the existing exhaust. So I'll crawl under there and see if it's, you know, 2.5 or 2 1/4. It came with the box. I assume there's gonna be collectors in there. So I'll just put the collectors on, joint to the rest of the exhaust. I think I'll kind of have it come out here and then it's right in front of the rear axle. Maybe I'll put a set of mufflers on it. We'll see what happens. And I gotta figure out power steering bracket. Again, that's a pain. Big block's different. I don't have anything. I was attempting to make this little thing. We'll see if it lasts or if I just kind of hold out and find something. But fan spins, alternator turns. It's gonna cool. It's got the water pump. I actually don't have it full of coolant yet. But I'm happy with it. Let me know what you guys think. I'll probably do a little bit of work, like I said, off camera. Do a little bit of screwing out the fuel system and all that, because that's kind of boring to watch at the end of the day. And we'll be back at it with the exhaust, mufflers, all that sort of stuff. Get my rover, put the hood back on. I need my table back. And then, yeah. Hopefully, nothing else screwed up. It'll still run and drive. I ordered brake line for it, so I don't have any. So I got to run a new brake line on it. Actually, it's a pain. It goes right up to the front where the proportioning or metering block is. So I'll do that front to back. But once I get exhaust on, brakes done, I'm hoping I'll be able to drive this thing a little bit in the next couple of days. So that'll be fun to watch. Hopefully you guys enjoy it.